Good evening, Connected Empowerment. This is Tony back again. We are going to kick off a new series today focused on LGBTQ. And I am here with one Katie, who just recently got married. And so she is going to share her story about growing up and navigating through the very rough water sometimes of being an LGBTQ in today's world. Katie, so tell us a little bit about you.
A little bit about me. Okay, so I recently just got married, like, what's today? 2 weeks ago-ish. I do therapy for kids that have autism, and I love my job. I've been with Hillary, who is now my wife, for almost 5 years, which is crazy. Born and raised in Florida. My mother met my stepdad, who I call dad. Moved to Texas when I was like 11, and for the most part, I've been in Texas, here and there. He's a high school coach, so we moved around a lot. And that's pretty much, and then I went to college and graduated and then got a job.
Okay, and so what do you do for hobbies?
Oh, geez. I like to play video games. No, I do a lot of sports, basketball, softball, anything to keep active. I recently just got into kickboxing, which I recommend people should try it at least once. It's really cool.
Good. And I know you try to play soccer, but that my dog actually defeated you. So.
Look, your dog cheats. I don't care what anybody says.
She does. But you did lose, so we'll just claim that. So Katie, tell us about, how it was for you growing up and how, you had rough times or not being LGBTQ, trying to navigate with your family.
So I would say I realized I was gay when I was about 11 or 12. I was very hush-hush about it. I didn't say anything. And the first couple of years when I lived in Texas, it was just me, my mom, and my dad. I have 2 older brothers, and they stayed in Florida. So I was kind of like the only child. And I was about a junior. I don't know how old you are. 16?
16.
You're a junior or something like that. My best friend actually outed me.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't like a great situation. She outed me because I was talking to somebody who was very, very toxic. It wasn't great. But I came home and my mom sat me down and she was yelling and screaming at me and telling me about how my dad is, your dad's gonna lose his job because you're gay. I'm like, what? What? And she just said, I can't be like this. And it wasn't even a religious thing because I didn't grow up religious at all. It was just, that's going to look so bad on us. And your dad's going to lose his job. And I'm like, well, why is my dad going to lose my job? Because I'm gay. Right. Well, it's because it looks bad on him that he's not a good dad. And it was, so I had to be like in the closet. And my parents would take my phone every night. And they probably would look through it because I know my mother. So I really wasn't able to have any kind of stable or even slightly healthy relationship until I was in college.
Okay.
And even then I kind of kept it under wraps because my mom and dad were always like, well, you can't be gay around us because it's going to ruin my career. And I'm like, you're a high school coach. It's not going to ruin your career if I'm gay. Who's going to care? And eventually it just got to the point where it was like, look, this is me. I'm not changing who I am. I can't change who I am. Either you accept me because I'm your daughter or you don't. And it was pretty much, okay, I guess we'll just accept you and we just won't talk about it. And they really weren't super involved in my relationships until Hillary. And they really, really, really liked Hillary and were really, really involved.
Yeah. So how is that like being forced to be in the closet with your family up until Hillary? How did that affect your relationship with them?
Oh, it was not good. There was a lot of lying going on, which I still have problems with. I've gone to therapy for it. There was lying, there was, just sneaking around, and I just didn't feel safe. And so really, until I met Hillary was like, okay, you need to figure out why you have a lying problem and a lying issue. And we actually went back to, it's probably because I had to lie so much and I had to sneak around so much because I couldn't be out. And it was just like suffocating.
How did that like drive who you are today? How did that change you?
Oof. I think it changed me because I want people to know, I want them to know that they can be, that I'm a safe person, that they can be open with me, they can be honest with me, that there's nothing that they can say or do that's going to be like, oh my gosh, you can't be this way because I don't think that's right. There are so many teenagers especially that are in our community that just, they feel that huge suffocation even more than I do. And, there's the suicide rates and everything are sky high. And that terrifies me. I want people to be able to look at me and be like, that's somebody safe that I can go to. And that's somebody that I can talk to.
Absolutely. How did that suffocation affect you? I think even today that probably on all of us weighs a little bit. How did that affect you?
Lots of depression, lots of hermit crabbing. People would call me a hermit. And I really didn't even realize it. I would just stay in my room all the time because I was like, well, I'm not happy hanging out with my parents. I didn't have any other family really. It was just everybody else lived in Florida. My best friend at the time, when I was in the process of coming out, had outed me, so I was mad at her. It was just lots of depression and lots of wanting to be alone and lots of, honestly, having thoughts of suicide because I felt so alone. So sports definitely got me out of that though.
Good. I think a lot of people don't understand what they're asking of you when and my family was did support it and did allow me to bring my spouse home, although my mom wouldn't come to the wedding. And it was things like that are hurtful. And it's one of those, we don't have to talk about it, but that is such a huge burden for the person because that's part of who you are. And I think a lot of people do not understand that. They don't understand, well, why do you have to share that piece of you? Well, I always ask them, but you're heterosexual, so just don't talk about your husband or your kids. I don't want to hear anything about it. It's the same thing. And then they go, oh, I see what you're saying. So, tell us, like, how does that affect you when you had to hide that? Like, explain why it's so important for us to be able to be who we are in all parts and not have to hide that. What is your thought on that?
Oof. That's a great question. For me personally, I can say having to hide it, when you go to Thanksgiving or you go to Christmases or birthdays, it's just like, this is my friend. And everybody's like, okay, well, so it's just your friend. Even though everybody around me pretty much knew it was my girlfriend, but it was still like, that's just your friend because we can't comprehend the fact that you're dating a woman. Like, that's not normal. That's not normal in my brain. I can't comprehend that. So I'm just going to sweep it under the rug and then you're just going to be her friend. And that's how it has been for many, many years in my life. Really up until, I met Hillary, because it was just like, nope, I'm done. This is not happening. I'm not going to be like depressed and hiding. I'm almost 30 years old. Well, at the time I was like, I'm almost 30 years old. This is not happening. It's so unhealthy. Right. It's going to drive me into drinking and all bunch of crap.
Yes. How did your mom and dad receive your brother's wives or girlfriends when they brought them home?
My mom in particular is not fond of anybody that dates her kids. That's just kind of how she is. She's like super mama bear. To my face, she really loved Hillary, and she always talked about how much she loved Hillary, and she even was helping us plan our wedding for a while. She's not a huge fan of either one of my brother's wives. She will not say that to them, to their faces, but she will say, so I can only imagine what she said about Hillary. But from what I've heard about, my brother's wives, I can only imagine. So
yeah. But it had to have been even harder to have your brothers bring wives home and be able to say, this is my wife or this is my girlfriend, and not have to hide that. But then they look at you and then you have to hide it. I'm sure that, like, for your siblings really kind of hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. It was pretty sucky. But it's still sucky. I mean, well, now it's not, because it's just like, this is my wife. We have a piece of paper that says we're legally married. But for a while there, it was really hard because it was just like, oh, your friend. And I was just like, but like, it's not. like that. Well, yeah, so this is her. And then getting introduced, like, oh, this is Katie, and this is her friend, or this is so-and-so. Like, it was never her girlfriend or anything like that, or her partner. It was just, oh my gosh.
Wow, that's a lot to carry. So tell me, how does that piece of paper, because I hear this a lot, right? Why do the gays need the piece of paper anyway? So how did that affect you when you got your marriage certificate?
I actually, the entire time leading up to the wedding, I had never been more nervous than when we actually went and got our marriage license. I was so nervous, and then we went and we were there and we were getting it, and it was just, we sat down in the car before we got it, and I was talking to Hillary. I was like, I was so nervous. I was like, this is a legitimate piece of paper that says, like, we are legally able to get married. I was like, when we were teenagers, this wasn't really even like a possibility. I'm like, if you go to the hospital, I can take care of you, vice versa. Insurance, house, like, you know, a mortgage, children, which is a big deal because now that she is legally my wife, when we have children, she can just put her name on the birth certificate. Like, before, if we weren't legally married, that couldn't happen. That's a really big deal to us. There's just, and then there's just so much that people don't realize why that piece of paper for us specifically is a big deal.
Is there anything else?
If you hear the dogs barking on it, sorry.
That's okay. That's good, right?
Sorry.
Misa's cute. She just has things to say. She agreed with your statement.
Exactly.
So besides all the legal things that come with a marriage certificate, because obviously there's a lot that come with that, and you know, that's what I explain to my friends is, you know, putting your spouse on your insurance, on your covering them under health insurance. If you get sick, they can go visit you. If God forbid something happens to one of you, you know, then the children can step in, especially if there's stepchildren involved. I mean, it can be a whole mess. So, you know, besides that, what does that marriage certificate mean to you?
Oh man, that I'm legally bound to another person, I guess. That's what it means to me. I mean, like I said, that was probably the most nerve-wracking part of us getting married, was going and getting it, because I was like, okay, this is legit, this is real.
Yeah, that's amazing. I felt the same way. And I mean, I was about 40 when I was actually able to get legally married, and never thought in my life I would see that. So, you know, first of all, I was so happy when Missy signed, because I'm like, ha, you did it now. You can't go back. I was like waiting for that to happen, but it just meant that I felt like I was more equal. Like I wasn't a second class citizen anymore, because I could also get married. So yeah, it's very awesome. And so it was, you know, we had talks with you before you got married and leading up to that, and some of the things that you shared, I'd like you to share with the audience, because I think it's important about kind of even roles and responsibilities, or roles that they try to force lesbians into, how we look versus what role we're going to have in the relationship, because they're trying to still say it's a fork and a spoon versus two chopsticks. You know, they don't understand the difference. So, you know, tell us how you know, what your role is in the relationship, and what kind of pushback you might get from that.
Okay. Oh, this gets me fired up.
I know.
Okay, so people, like, when they just see Hillary and I walking down the street, or if we just go to a party and we don't know them, they just automatically assume that I'm the guy of the relationship. And I'm just like, well, we're both women. That's kind of the point. We're both women. And it makes me so upset, because it's just like, why am I the guy? Oh, well, because you're wearing sweatpants and a sweatshirt, and she's wearing jeans and a blouse or whatever. I was like, what? So I hate that, because it's just, and it's men mainly, not always, but it's mainly men that like stereotype us. It's like, well, there has to be a man, because it just doesn't make sense in their mind. Like, that just doesn't compute. One of you has to be the man, and one of you has to be the woman. And I'm like, actually, my wife wears the pants. If we want to be honest. Okay, she makes the most money. She's the one that makes sure the bills are paid. She's the one that really takes care of everything. I cook, I clean. I'm the one that's hopefully going to be giving birth. Like, and they just, like, people just, it blows their mind. And sometimes people don't even ask who's giving birth. They'll just look at Hillary and be like, oh, well, so when do you want to have a child? And it's just like, well, we are going to have a child, but I'm probably going to be the one that carries it. And they're like, oh, really? Really, why? Well, I didn't oh, that's interesting. Why? I'm like, what do you mean why? I'm a woman and I want to have a baby. Like, that's why. I could go on. Oh, I get so irritated.
Well, and I think you kind of had another form of that kind of discrimination when you wore a dress. So both of you wore dresses to your wedding. Can you share the remarks that you got about both of you wearing dresses?
For me specifically, people were shocked. And even some of my really good friends were like, what, you're wearing a dress? Like, why would you, why are you wearing a dress? It's like, because I want to. And I want my wife to see me in a dress, and I'm going to feel comfortable in the kind of dress I had, which I did. Mm-hmm. I was actually shocked that some of my really good friends were like, what? When I actually went and was trying on dresses, we went to this place, and the first thing I said was, I do not want to try on a suit. Don't want to try on a suit. One of the first things this woman put me in was a suit.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And it was like right after a friend of mine had, one of my friends that went with me is like, well, because she's like, well, what's your fiance wearing? Or, you know, and so my friend was like, well, she's getting married to a woman, just so you know. She's getting married to a woman, so she's also wearing a dress. And so the woman that was fitting me and everything, just the first thing she put me in was like a suit. I was like, are you kidding me? It's like she heard the word lesbian, or that I was marrying a woman. It was just like, well, she's wearing a dress, so boom, I'm going to put you in a suit. Even though the first thing I said was, do not put me in a suit.
Yeah, trying to fit you in her box.
Yeah, what? I'm allowed to wear a dress. If I was a boy, I'm still allowed to wear a dress. I can wear what I want to wear. Like, yes. But I specifically said no suit. Well, we're going to put you, like you said, in that box because it just doesn't compute in my head why one of you would wear a dress and one of you would, what?
Yeah, and you wanted to wear a dress. And by the way, you both look very beautiful in your dresses. So, I mean, people would have been missing out if they didn't get to see that. But yeah, dresses are such a huge thing. You guys had such a great wedding. Like, it was really beautiful, mostly virtual, given today's events, as it were. But how was that like? How was the wedding for you? Just to, you know, put it into context that when you were a child and dreamed about getting married, you knew it wouldn't be legal. And now here you are, and you're legally getting married. Like, how was that event for you?
Stressful. No, it was awesome.
I heard you were Bridezilla, by the way. So
okay, she's not being completely honest when she says that. One time I was a Bridezilla. It was about my hair. Again, people would probably freak out that I was like freaking out about my hair. But yeah, she's laughing. We were actually, so there's like a Airstream that her and I were in right before we walked down, and we were both so nervous. We were so nervous that our good friend Dave came up and he's like, are you guys okay? Because we were just like staring off, waiting, you know, for the moment to walk down. And he's like, I'm gonna go get y'all a drink. I'm gonna get a drink. And I was just like breathing the entire time walking down. I think I sprinted down the aisle, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure I sprinted.
Pretty sure you did.
No, but it was just, like I said, like having that piece of paper made it even more surreal, because I was like, this is like a real situation that's happening. Like, this is the real deal, because like she signed it, I signed it, we're together, like hopefully forever.
Oh, you will be.
No, it was so fun. And you know, I always knew I wanted to get married, but it really was nothing like that I had expected. And I think one of the reasons is because Hillary actually planned it all. I didn't really have to do anything.
Nice.
I just had to show up. No, it was really cool because the people that were there were really close family and friends, and it was just like a really cool party, and it was really cool to be celebrated. Yeah. You know, being two, you know, gay people and being celebrated, like our love being celebrated. And that was just something that I thought maybe I'd have 5-10 people show up before COVID. I mean, when I was younger, and I was like, well, if I'm gay, I'm probably gonna have like 5 people show up. And there were a lot of people that were there virtually too. We had a lot of people that were there virtually, and it was just like the next day was just like so surreal. Like, whoa, that's crazy how many people wanted to celebrate us and celebrate our love.
Do you feel like in day to day, you've grown up or even now that you have been discriminated against for being LGBTQ, and so having people celebrate you kind of offset that, or do you feel the discrimination? Has it changed? What is that like in your life?
For me, it's really easy for me to ignore it. There have been times where I've been called not pleasant words, but it's really easy for me to ignore it. So I would say the wedding definitely offset any of that, because I was like, look, I've got people that came, and this, even if people didn't come, like, this is a legitimate thing for me. This is like, I'm married to a woman and everybody else can kind of kiss my butt. So.
Well, there you go. So for people who don't know, and there is some out there, I'm sure, who go, well, I just don't understand the whole gay thing. Let's let them know what that's about. So tell me about, in an average night in your household. What do you guys do?
Okay, so an average night, it just kind of depends on my schedule. Sometimes I get home before Hillary, sometimes she doesn't. But usually I'm the one that cooks. I like cooking. I enjoy it. It's kind of a relief for me from the day. And so I'll cook, and we eat together always, and sometimes we'll at the table together, or we'll watch TV at the coffee table and eat. She's finally getting into the habit to where if I cook, she cleans. So we finally started doing that, and she'll clean the dishes, and we'll cuddle on the couch and we'll watch, our favorite TV show, and then we'll take a break and take the dogs out to the little dog park we have here, and we're pretty boring. And then we pretty much get ready for bed. We were pretty boring people, honestly.
No. What do you guys do on the weekends then?
Same thing. We shopping. We do our groceries.
Okay. So what I'm
to the dog park.
Take your dogs to the dog park. Do you have any fun activities you guys do together?
We love camping and we love hiking. That's like our big thing. Camping and hiking is something we really enjoy. And I think a lot of it's because we can actually do it with our dogs too. We're those dog moms.
So it sounds to me like you're just like any other married couple out there. Oh, yeah. Straight, gay, whatever, it doesn't matter. I think a lot of people miss lazy. That. Just as lazy, right? And just as normal. I think when people think of two gay men or two gay women being married, for some reason they can't understand that our routines and what we do is exactly the same as what you do.
It's the same.
It's the same. But I don't think they understand that, so it's just something to put out there for sure. So let me ask you this, Katie, if you could give a lesson to, first of all, let's talk about the younger generation. Like you said, there's so many depressed and suicidal. What lesson or what words of wisdom would you give the younger ones coming up now?
Wow. That's so hard. No, I mean, I'm living proof that it does get better, I guess would be the number one thing that I would say. And I know that my story is nowhere near as hard as a lot of stories are, but it does get better. I mean, I'm married. I have a wonderful wife. I have a wonderful little fur family just even 5 years ago, I didn't even think that it was possible. So, and it is possible. So, awesome. And keep fighting for our rights.
That's right.
Don't be lazy.
That's right. And what about people out there that are watching that really don't understand our community? What would you say to them to outreach?
I guess research, I guess. Ask questions. Honestly, don't be afraid to ask questions. I mean, I tell this to my kid, like my kiddos all the time, like there's no such thing as a stupid question. Just ask it, because you're just being stupid by not asking the question. Your assumptions are probably way wrong. So just don't go on assuming that it's this way or that way. Just ask, and maybe you'll get a little bit enlightened.
I love it. And what about how you deal with your family? What's your advice on that?
Oof. Every family is different. Every family has problems. Every family is crazy. Every family is just bizarre. I don't know. I mean, all you can do is be yourself, and either they accept it or they don't. And for a long time, my family didn't. But it's better now. It's not perfect, but it is better now.
Mm.
And I'm happy now. So I don't know. Families are crazy, man.
They are. They are. Well, thank you, Katie, for sharing your story. It's very powerful, as always. To those of you out there listening, Connected Empowerment Land, you know, the key lessons of the day is ask the questions. If you don't know and you don't understand, reach out, ask the questions. We're just like you. There is no difference. We have the same kind of relationships. We do the same things, the same routines, and we can find more ways that we're the same than we ever were different. In families, embrace, you know, love your children, just love them, regardless of who they are, and don't ask them to hide something from you. Love all of them. And finally, those that are coming up, you know, we've come a long way. I mean, I'm turning the hill of 50 here, and I can remember older LGBT that really fought for rights and had a lot harder than I did. And we've tried to fight for the younger generation, and we're going to keep fighting for you. So there is life after high school. There is life after
Yes.
being at home. You will find happiness. You will find love and acceptance. Just keep driving on. If you feel like you just can't go on anymore, and you're watching this channel and you just feel like you need someone to talk to, please reach out to me. Please reach out to Katie. There is a group out there, and we will listen and we will help the best we can. So don't give up. We can connect one person at a time. Just reach across the aisle. Just figure each other out. Find the ways that we're together and we can be together, and that we're alike. And just be kind to each other, even if you don't agree with it or you don't understand it. Just be nice. It doesn't hurt anything. It doesn't cost anything. So thanks, Katie. Thanks, community. We will see you on the next go round.